Good morning. It is 9:30 a.m. and we are going to call to order our called meeting of the Del Mar College District Board of Regents. Going to call roll to establish a quorum. Regent Kelly. Here. Regent Villarreal. Here. Regent Adami. Here. Regent Garza. Here. Regent Hutchison.
Yes, I'm here.
Carol Scott, we have a quorum and can conduct business. Would you all please join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. Regent Kelly, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag and country.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And as is our custom, would you please join me in reading the Del Mar College Vision Statement? Del Mar College will be the premier choice for life-changing educational opportunities provided by responsive, innovative faculty and staff who empower students to improve local and global communities. Del Mar College is streaming live audio and video from our official Board of Regents meetings on the college's website in real time, with the exception of portions of the meeting as may be considered closed session by statute. We have an opportunity now for general public comment. Is there anyone here to offer comment on items not on the agenda today? Seeing none, we will proceed with our agenda with our one regular item of business, or one item of business for today. We are going to have a discussion related to the petition submitted by Robstown for Del Mar College to enlarge and expand the boundaries of our Del Mar College district. And we're going to hear a presentation today by Ms. Lenora Keys and Mr. Augustin Rivera.
Good morning. Good morning, Regents. As Regent Scott outlined and introduced the subject today, you have one item on your agenda, and it represents a continuation of the process that was started back in April when the college received a petition with signatures from registered voters from a territory in Robstown, which is the Robstown Independent School District area, when a petition was submitted asking you to put on the ballot in November the question of whether or not that territory, which is presently not in your taxing district, whether it should be annexed or added to your district. So that's why you're here. This is the next step in that process, which is outlined in statute, as you've heard me say before. Texas Education Code 130.065 outlines the steps that you are required to follow once you have received such a petition. And so that's why we're here, and I'm going to be handling the first part of this, introducing it to you. You have in your packet a proposed service plan for this new territory that Ms. Keys is going to cover with you in a second. But again, just general background, the petition was received back on April 26th, 2022, and it was filed by a political action committee that is named Robstown for Del Mar. There were a number of signatures on the petition. We internally reviewed those signatures and verified that there was a sufficient number of signatures as required under 130.065 to initiate the process and move it forward. On May 9th, that was presented to you, and on May 10th, that was presented to you during your board meeting. You accepted the petitions and then instructed staff to go ahead and prepare a service plan and to arrange for a public hearing, again, consistent with the statute. Today, staff is going to present you with a proposed service plan for your consideration. We ask that you review it. You have the opportunity to provide input, change, questions, ask questions about it. In the end, you will be given the opportunity to approve the service plan, to direct that it be published as required under the statute, and then go on to the next step under the process, which is scheduling and holding a public hearing. Again, just for everybody's edification, we like to keep everybody with us on this, but we don't assume that anybody isn't watching this for the very first time. And so to put it in the proper context, this is the present map of your districts of all the area that goes into the Del Mar College taxing district. You'll see off to the far left where it says Robstown ISD, that hashed area, that's the territory we're talking about. The timeline, and I apologize, it's a little small, but it's compact and it lays it out. You're within the slotted time for consideration and publication of a service plan. You'll see that under the timeline, working back from Election Day, if you were to hold, if you consider this question at your August 9th regular board meeting, then the public hearing time and the service plan times are there. I mean, you have to have a service plan published between May 26th and June, I think that's 16th. And the public hearing has to be held between June 25th and July 10th. Again, that's all leading to where you can order the election if you wish. You can take it up at your August 9th board meeting. The elements of the proposed service plans you're going to be hearing about are, again, also laid out in statute. And I want to point out what has been italicized for you for emphasis. Again, this talks about it being basically a board service plan, right? It says that you shall complete and publish a service plan. Obviously, you have directed staff to do that, and that's what they're here for, to help you with that. But I wanted to point that out to you, that it just sort of assigns you the responsibility for that. The service plan is informational only, and I can't stress that enough. Staff has been very careful in not encroaching into the area of advocacy. We're not here pro or against. We're here to provide information as required by the statute. Ultimately, the question of whether or not this is going to pass will be left up to the voters of that area. But you see the different elements: the maximum property tax rate, the most recent property tax rate, the tuition rate that would apply after annexation for a student who resides in the district, or in-district tuition, as we refer to it, the tuition and fees that would apply to somebody outside the district, plans for providing educational services, plans for cooperating with local workforce agencies, and any other elements consistent with this subchapter. So each of these elements is covered in the service plan, and you can check them off. So now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Keys, who's going to go over the details of the service plan.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Good morning. The service plan is attached in its complete form for your consideration. You will see that the slides we have here address highlights, really. As you can also see, the maximum tax rate allowed under the Texas Education Code is $1 per 100 assessed property valuation. Of this maximum rate, no more than 50 cents can be dedicated to paying for debt service. The maintenance and operations tax rate for 2021 is shown here as well, as is the debt service rate. A combined tax rate per 100 assessed property valuation is 0.283340. The service plan document also provides for all existing tax exemptions for Del Mar College and references that the board will annually adopt a resolution that sets the maximum maintenance and operations tax rate. And this rate cannot increase taxes collected by more than 8% from the prior year without voter approval. The service plan also includes information on the in-district and out-of-district tuition and fee rate per term, per credit hour, as shown for the academic year 2022. And this slide provides the exact dollars there for 1 credit hour. The key points related to the service plan that are provided by the college are also included in the service plan. If the voters approve, as in the election, the college proposes to expand local delivery of services and programs, eligibility to the voter in the Del Mar College Board of Regents elections, provide access to Del Mar College facilities at the in-district rate, as well as the services you see here. The community and students could benefit by increased access to Texas Workforce Commission Skills Development Fund and engagement with the workforce solutions of the Coastal Bend as we presently provide. The next section is not necessarily in the service plan itself, but it does provide an overall perspective and could be used for public information. Information from the Nueces County Tax Assessor indicates that using the present tax rate of .283340 and a net taxable value of over $616 million, the college could receive approximately $1.694 million per year in additional tax revenue. However, to receive the same tax revenues at the 2022 overall tax rate, the rate could be reduced to .2277350, and the limitation of an 8% maximum annual increase in the maintenance and operations rate will apply. Additionally, the average taxable home value in Robstown Independent School District is approximately $59,000, and the tax impact on the present overall tax rate would be an additional $167 annually, or $14 per month to that homeowner.
Lenore, I have a question on this slide.
Yes.
I know later on you talk about exemptions. So does the 1.694 potential tax revenue include those exemptions? So when you have a net taxable value, is that with homestead exemptions and others taken out?
Yes,
I want to make
is.
sure I read that correctly.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And it's assuming the same level of exemption rate that we have in Nueces County
Thank you.
in our portion of the tax district. This table shows an additional breakdown for tuition and fees, and this would be a significant benefit to the students and families who would pay the in-district rate. This shows a savings of $150 for a 3-credit-hour course, additional semester credit hours, and the difference between in-district and out-of-district savings of $600 for a full-time student taking 12 semester credit hours. The college has been providing dual credit courses at Robstown ISD for several years. Over the past 5 years, over 1,500 students have taken classes at the in-district rate of $99 for a 3-credit-hour course, or whatever the continuing education rate that vary depending upon the courses. So this is giving you an overview and the breakdown as to how we've been servicing the school district. An average head count of students is 360 students annually have attended Del Mar College over the past 5 years. This is determined by referencing the addresses of students from the 78380 zip code. We were asked to provide how many students come from Robstown ISD. When you include all the adults, we had to go back by address, and that's by zip code. The proposed public hearing is tentatively scheduled with the assistance of the Robstown Independent School District to be held at the Ortiz Elementary School Cafetorium in Robstown, pending the board's approval. And the meeting can be accessed online at the webcast indicated on this slide. The college will also prepare a web page with the service plan and general information for the public upon board approval. And now I'll ask Mr. Rivera to come back up.
So there you have it, Regents. We're going to open it up for any questions or comments on the service plan, but just to be clear, today's action items for you include approving the service plan that's been presented, directing staff to go ahead and publish that. As Ms. Keys mentioned, as soon as we get your approval, we will move ahead with putting it live on, or not live, but putting it on our website, having a web page dedicated to this, and then to schedule a public hearing to take place within the territory that's being proposed for annexation. Included in your packet is a specific order, which we would ask that you also look at, and it basically has those those same action items for your consideration. And just to repeat, as Ms. Keys pointed out, tentatively scheduled based on your input and final approval. A public hearing has been scheduled for June 29th at 6 p.m. at Ortiz Elementary School Cafetorium in Robstown. So any questions? We open it up at this time, or comments?
Mr.
Yeah,
Kelly?
I've got a question. So have we reached out to the RTA to talk about bus routes from Robstown to our various campuses in the event that we have students that have transportation issues?
No, sir, we haven't to this point specifically about Robstown, but we work with them on a regular basis.
Would it be possible to have reached out to them before the public hearing, so in
Yes,
case
sir.
that's an issue for the people at the hearing, we
Yes, sir.
could have an answer?
We'll be glad to.
Super, thank you.
Thank you.
Can you give me a very brief history of any other areas that have requested this or we requested, and what were the results and what were the things that we maybe learned from that process?
To my knowledge, we've not had that. We've not had a group come to us with a petition before.
How about the other way around, where we went to them?
We've gone in the past, Del Mar College initiated to bring San Patricio County and Aransas County into our taxing district, and they tried to do it legislatively through the governor's office, and the Governor Perry vetoed it.
Long time ago.
And that was about 15 years ago. It's my understanding that approximately 20 years ago, there may have been an election or a process dealing with Robstown at the time, and I don't have the details on that.
Yeah, nothing in recent history, Regent Villarreal. I will point out that we know that, and you all probably are aware of this, that other community colleges have seen a lot of activity under 130.065. Austin Community College has a lot of experience with this, as well as Alamo, and that's just because of the huge growth, right, in those counties and all of that. They've had quite a lot of activity with that, with annexation by election processes.
One other question. Where does, if anything, because I know this group came to us, correct? And we heard them at our last board meeting. Where does Robstown ISD fit into this equation? Not necessarily, I'm not talking about the territory or the geographic. How does it impact Robstown ISD? And is it something that, of course, I know you can't answer this. Is it favorable to them, or is it going to hurt them? How would you be able to talk a little bit about that?
I've been in meetings with the superintendent, Dr. Marino, at Robstown ISD. He was very receptive on a personal level. He felt like the discussions centered around if we were to offer more adult courses on their site, that it would be well received. That was his indication to me. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your work on that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? If not, then we are entertaining a motion to approve and direct staff to publish this proposed service plan for Robstown ISD and to schedule the public hearing as indicated on June 29th at 6 p.m. at the Ortiz Elementary School. Is there a motion to that effect? Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Kelly makes that motion. Dr. Villarreal seconds it. Any questions on that motion? Any public comment on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Susan, you said aye?
Yes, that's an aye.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, staff, for your work on this. We very much appreciate it. Mr. Rivera, do we have anything for closed session?
No, ma'am, the closed session was there in case a legal question came up about the service plan or the process, and I hope that you don't have any questions or need to go into closed session. It means we've done our job, and that everybody understands we're just moving along the process that's outlined in statute, and the next step will be the public hearing.
Great.
Okay? That's all we have.
From a calendaring standpoint, we have our regularly scheduled June board meeting on June the 14th. I have asked staff to recap this presentation in a staff report so that we can continue to be public and have a lot of discussion and presentation on this matter so that folks are aware of what's going on. Without anything else on the agenda for today, we stand adjourned at 9:50 a.m.